A very good morning to you all. Welcome to online classes. I am Jaya Verma and my co-teachers are Madhulika ma'am and Deepshika ma'am. Students, in the previous video, I've started one chapter from democratic politics and the name of the chapter is What is Democracy and Why Democracy. In the previous video, we have discussed about what is the meaning of democracy and from where does this word is originated, that is democracy. And in this video, we will discuss about features of democracy. For this, you have to open your books. According to the old books, come to page number 26 and according to the new books, whatever the page 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, just open your books and come on this page, features of democracy. So let's start. So, as we have seen, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. So, this is the definition of democracy, and in this, they are saying which the rulers are elected by the people. And the first question which comes in our mind is who are these rulers? In this definition, who elect these rulers, who make the government? So, what is the term the rulers have been used for? Then second is what kind of election constitutes a democratic election? What kind of election constitutes? How elections are being done? What conditions must be fulfilled for an election to be considered democratic? And the third one is who are the people who can elect the rulers or get elected as rulers? So, who are these people who elect these rulers? And how elections are being done? And who are these rulers? And the fourth point is finally, what kind of a form of government is democracy? So, who are these rulers? How elections takes place? And who are the people who elect these rulers? And what form of government is being made? Either it is democratic or non-democratic. So, let's find out. Can elected rulers do whatever they want in a democracy, or must a democratic government function with some limits? Is it necessary for a democracy to respect some rights of the citizen? So, we will take these features one by one. So, the first feature is major decision by elected leaders. As we elect the representatives, they go and make the government. So these are the elected leaders. We consider them, we say them that these are the leaders. So we will take example of Pakistan. In Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf led a military coup in October 1999. He overthrew a democratically elected government, and that government was Nawaz Sharif's government, and he declared himself as the chief executive of the country. And after that, he changed his designation to president, and in 2002 he held a referendum in the country that granted him a 5-year extension. Means first he declared himself as a chief executive of the country, and then after that referendum took place, means direct vote took place, and from chief executive he said himself he took the post of the president. Then Pakistan Media Human Rights Organization democracy activists said that the referendum was based on malpractices and fraud. Means for declaring himself as president, he took the referendum, means he was directly voted by the people, and to declare himself as the president of India, he took all the illegal means, he used all the illegal means he used all the malpractices and fraud to become a president of Pakistan. So what he did in August 2002, he issued a legal framework order that amended the Constitution of India. He issued a framework order that changed the Constitution of Pakistan. Then what was there in this order? So according to this order, the president can dismiss the national and provincial assemblies. The work of the civilian cabinet is supervised by a National Security Council. Means this work which was done by the civilian cabinet, that was supervised, that was controlled by a National Security Council, which is dominated by military officers. After passing this law, elections were held to the national and provincial assemblies. And after when he passed this law, after that they had elections for national and provincial assemblies. So Pakistan has had elections. Elected representatives have some power, only a little bit power these elected representatives have. But the final decision is in the hands of the military officers, that means military officers and General Pervez Musharraf himself. Clearly, there are many reasons why Pakistan under General Musharraf should not be called a democracy. We cannot call this type of government a democracy because he declared himself as a chief executive of the country. Then referendum was then he directly people voted for him and he declared himself, he became the president. So people were not involved in this, so we cannot call this type of country as a democratic country. But let us focus on one of these. Can we say that the rulers are elected by the people in Pakistan? Not quite. People may have elected the representative to national and provincial assemblies. People have only the power, they can elect the representative for national and provincial assemblies. But those elected representatives were not really the rulers. They cannot take the final decision. Can we call them as rulers? Because final decision is taken by the ruler. And these people were Pervez Musharraf was not a ruler. So the power to take final decision rests with officials and with the cabinet and with General Musharraf, and none of them were elected by the people. So this is the reason none of them were elected by the people. So we cannot call them a democratic country. This happens in many dictatorship and monarchies. They formally have an elected parliament and government, but the real power is with those who are not elected. So in few countries, the real power was with some external powers and not with locally elected representative. This cannot be called people's rule. So here we got the first feature, that is, in a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those who are elected by the people. Now the second feature is free and fair elections. In China, elections are regularly held after every 5 years. Even in India, we have after every 5 years we have elections. For electing the country's parliament called Quango Renim Delbo the Huai means National People's Congress. The National People's Congress has the power to appoint the president of the country. So this party, the National People's Congress, this is a party, and this party has the power, it can appoint the president of the country. It has nearly 3,000 members elected from all over China, and some members are elected by the army. Means 3,000 people are members are elected from all over China, and some members are elected by the army. So before contested elections, a candidate needs the approval. So if a candidate is contesting election, first of all he has to it should be approved by Chinese Communist Party. Only those who are members of the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied to it, they were allowed to contest the elections which were held in 2002 and 2003. So the government is always formed by the Communist Party. Whichever party wins, but the government will be made by the Communist Party. So then here, this is the example of China, and then we have the example of Mexico. Let's find out what is the example of Mexico. Since its independence in 1930, Mexico holds election after every 6 years to elect its president. Means after every 6 years, Mexico contests elections. Mexico held elections, and it is first after every 6 years, and they elect the president. The country has never been under a military or dictator's rule. But until 2000, every election was won by a party called PRI, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party. So opposition parties did contest, and there are opposition parties, they contest election, but they never managed to win the election. So the PRI was known to use many dirty tricks to win election. This PRI party uses many bad tricks or dirty tricks to win the elections. And all those who were employed in government offices had to attend its party meetings. So whoever people are in government jobs, they have to attend the meeting, and teachers of government schools used to force parents to vote for the PRI. And teachers used to force these government school teachers, they used to force the parents to vote for this party PRI. And media largely ignored that activities, and whatever activities are being performed by the opposition party, media always ignore them. Political parties accept to criticize them, and what they do, they will only criticize them. So sometimes the polling booths were shifted from one place to another in the last minute, which made it difficult for people to cast their vote. So in the last minute, they used to shift the polling booths from one place to another. So this becomes very difficult for the people to go and cast their vote. And for this PRI spent a large sum of money in campaigning for its own candidate. So you see here, should we consider the elections described above as examples of people electing their rulers? Reading these examples, we get a sense that we cannot. There are many problems here. In China, the elections do not offer the people any serious choice. Means in China, people don't have any choice to elect, to choose their representative. And can we call this a choice? No. In the Mexican example, people seem to really have a choice, but in practice, they have no choice. Though they can choose their candidate, but practically it is not their choice. There was no way the ruling party could be defeated even if people were against it. These are not fair elections. We cannot call these type of elections as fair elections. So we can thus add a second feature. This gives us a second feature, that holding elections of any kind is not sufficient. The elections must offer a real choice between political alternatives. So for example, in India, there are 4-5 candidates are contesting elections. So we have the choice. Whomever policies and programs we like, we want to cast our vote to that particular candidate. And it should be possible for people to use this choice to remove the existing rulers if they wish so. So a democracy must be based on a free and fair elections where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. So we shall find out more about the democratic election in chapter 3. We have other features also we will see here, and those other features we will discuss in next video. So I hope you must have understood the lecture. So I will pause over here. Thank you and have a nice day.